In the end, I will just say that community should be put on the forefront, but an attitude building on the part of the managers at various levels is required, in the sense that you have to learn to trust and respect the community. If the trust and respect in the community, you have to believe that they can deliver, you have to involve them at each and every stage, and as soon as any, or when you are taking up any program, any agenda, you work together as a team with the community, then we can make a lot of difference to the entire disaster risk mitigation and also to the disaster risk management program. One slightly different kind of aspect which I would like to mention here is the post-disaster recovery. Community plays a very important role in post-disaster recovery. After flood water have receded, after the basic relief operations have been carried out, the police goes, the district authorities go, the NGOs go, everybody goes back to their respective offices, doing their work somewhere else. Who is left behind is the community. Who is left behind to wipe the tears of some child who has lost his parents? It's the community. And if you have addressed the community well, the recovery that takes place after suffering a disaster in the village, in the society, this is the common infrastructure, in the families bearing the trauma, coming out of a difficult situation, somebody who's lost everything, who doesn't have money, who had a thriving business, but his entire thing got lost. Community plays a very important role in that psychosocial exercise. So that part also needs to be highlighted, and it has to be emphasized a lot in the entire disaster management exercise. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak, and I hope I have made some meaning in this entire discussion.
Thank you very much, Anju Sharma. You made some very good points. A couple of big takeaways. The first responder is invariably the communities, and we need to invest in their resources. We need to work with them with trust and respect, and build on their capacities, build on their initiatives. And secondly, the point you made at the beginning of the talk, that it's not enough to have a plan. A plan is not a piece of paper. A plan is meaningful only if it is practiced over and over, so that it becomes almost a second nature. So thank you very much for that. We have among us the Honorable Minister of Health, Revenue and Land, Sri Kolsum Thakur from Himachal Pradesh, and he has very kindly offered to share some reflections from Himachal Pradesh. So in our flow this morning from going from local to state level to national level to international, may I kindly invite him to share his reflections. Thank you very much, sir.
Good morning, everybody. Mr. Kamal Kishore, Member of National Disaster Management Authority and Chairman of the panel, other friends sitting on the dais, delegates from India and abroad, scientists, ladies and gentlemen. It's my proud privilege to hear amongst the distinguished gathering of scientists who have come from different parts of the country and abroad to discuss about the disaster management. First of all, I must congratulate the government of Andhra Pradesh and Disaster Management Infrastructure and Control Society for organizing an important event that needs attention of each and every individual and the government, and it's my privilege to be here among us this gathering to share my experience on this vital issue of importance across the world in general and state of Himachal Pradesh in particular. From yesterday onwards, we have been hearing about the problems of disaster management in the coastal areas. But nobody discussed about the disasters in the hilly and mountains region. I belong to state of Himachal Pradesh, and this is my 8th tenure in the assembly. And as a revenue minister, whenever such disaster takes place, it is being the nodal agency in the disaster management, we have to manage everything after it happens. As you know, Himachal Pradesh is the extreme north of India, on the one side bordering China and the other side bordering Pakistan. So we have different problems. Of course, the coastal areas have the problem of tsunami and cyclone, hudhud, etc. But Himachal Pradesh, we have different problems. We have the problems of landslides, cloud bursts, floods, droughts, bus accidents, etc., etc. And we have to deal accordingly. The experiences and observations made over centuries suggest that the natural hazards themselves do not necessarily lead to disasters. It is only their devastating impact on the human life and property that renders human beings vulnerable and helpless. Though hazards, natural human released, are common throughout the world, however, their adverse impact on the land and society is not uniform. While on one hand, the developing countries are worst affected in terms of fatality, the developed countries, on the other hand, observe tremendous property loss due to these calamities. Himachal Pradesh is one of the most peaceful states in the country, I can claim it. And it is full of thick forest. This is one of the best destinations in the country. And capital of Himachal Pradesh is Shimla, which is called Queen of Hills in the country, the name given by Britishers. During British rule, it used to be the summer capital of the country, and state of Himachal Pradesh, which forms a part of the northern western Himalayas, is environmentally fragile and ecologically vulnerable. Occurrence of natural hazards emanating from the effects of climatological variations are a matter of immediate concern to the state of Himachal Pradesh. As every year, the state experiences the fury of nature in various forms. As I have mentioned, this heavy snow, even the avalanches, droughts, etc. The fragile ecology of the mountain states, coupled with large variations in physio-climatic conditions, has rendered it vulnerable to the vagaries of climate and natural disasters. Himachal Pradesh, by virtue of its position in Himalayan belt, is seismically very active and sensitive. It has been established that HP lies in the seismic zone 4 and 5, which are highly prone to earthquakes, comprising 32% of the total geographical area, zone 5. More than 250 earthquakes of magnitude of 4 and more on the Richter scale, including 51 earthquakes with magnitude of about 5, have rocked the state of Himachal Pradesh and adjoining region of Jammu and Kashmir in the last 100 years. Areas falling in district of Kangla, Bilaspur, Chamba, Kullu and Mandi have been classified as very high damage risk area as it falls in seismic zone 5. With such an alarming history of vulnerability to natural disasters, the state of Himachal Pradesh certainly needs technical expertise on the mitigation and management strategies. At the government level, the state government has taken various steps. The SP government has constituted a state-level disaster management committee under the chairmanship of Chief Secretary to take stock of the disaster situation and monitor and administer the state disaster management plan in Himachal Pradesh. A crisis management group comprising of senior officers from different departments under the chairmanship of Chief Secretary to the government of Himachal Pradesh has also been constituted in the state. The State Disaster Management Authority is also constituted under the chairmanship of Chief Minister, and I, as a Revenue Minister, is the co-chairman of this authority. This authority is a nodal center for development, training, capacity building in the areas of disaster mitigation, preparedness, response, and recovery. Considering the high seismic vulnerability of the state, the building codes and designs were also reviewed, and the departments responsible for the construction work has imparted necessary awareness training to their engineers, planners, and architects. In fact, all the departments of the government were advised to prepare their own emergency preparedness plans and assess their own preparedness to respond to any emergency situation. The Himachal Pradesh has also initiated a process to review and update HP relief manual in view of the recent disasters so that suitable and timely relief and rehabilitation can be extended to the affected persons. The Department of Revenue, Government of Himachal Pradesh is a nodal department as far as the natural disasters are concerned, but the very orientation of the department is to plan for relief and rehabilitation strategies. There are not much of the efforts directed towards preventive and mitigation strategies. Thus, there is a need to restructure the policy on disaster management, reflecting a holistic approach involving prediction, mitigation, and preparedness in the pre-disaster phase along with the ongoing post-disaster relief and rehabilitation so that the post-disaster effects are reduced. Normally, we tend to become wiser and concerned immediately after devastating effects of natural calamities. Tall claims and promises are made contrary to the ground realities. Maybe we are better informed now to deal with the situations, but it is society as a whole prepared to deal with such a situation. I am afraid we may have to do a lot of spade work before responding adequately to such questions. Apart from government agencies, non-governmental bodies are required to play a vital role in fulfilling this responsibility. Lack of planning in the wake of natural calamities, inadequate awareness, improper structures, poor designs, and faulty construction techniques normally contributes towards increased impact of hazards. Unplanned governmental activity can destabilize already fragile mountainous regions. Unsustainable, environmentally unfriendly practices can devastate human livelihood and disrupt basic infrastructure like power, water, and communication. It is therefore a challenge to the scientific community, planners, and administrators to devise sustainable long-term strategy and solutions so that government takes place in tandem with environmental balance. This is especially crucial in mountain regions. Coastal areas have different problems, as I have mentioned earlier. In view of the above challenges, to have an effective disaster management system in the states, the experiences of the experts who are participating in the Second World Congress on Disaster Management would definitely help us in updating our strategy and policies in view of the recent technical know-how available for the disaster management at the macro as well as micro level. I am very hopeful that this knowledgeable gathering will make strong recommendations on positive human interventions required to cope up with natural disasters, which can help the other vulnerable states like Himachal Pradesh to strengthen their policies and programs for having an effective disaster management systems operational. Based on your valuable recommendations, we will review and recognize our existing preparedness to combat the natural calamities so that post-disaster effects are not only minimized but also reduced to some extent. I hope in Himachal Pradesh we have started this demo mock drills and we are imparting training to the colleges and schools so that our society are well prepared. With these words, I hope that the second World Congress will go a long way in solving the problem of disaster management. Thank you very much.
And the expectation that you have from this Congress in terms of coming up with recommendations to inform your work in your state as well as in other states. So this morning we also have among us, we are very lucky to have among us His Excellency the High Commissioner of Mauritius, Sri Jageshwar Govardhan. He is very experienced, not a very experienced diplomat, but also somebody who has worked at the national level in his country, a small island developing state, which has its own unique challenges. He has worked on health issues, risk issues. So we are very lucky that he is among us today, and I would like to invite him, Your Excellency, to make some remarks.
This is Anju Sharma, Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Kamal Kishore, Mr. Harjit Singh, Mr. Amita Singh, and Mr. Yuvraj. And keeping a protocol in mind to all head of NGOs, United Nations organization, and universities. I know since morning you have been listening, all the speakers. May I ask you a few questions that concerns you all, concern us all, concerning our own health and the health of our children. How many among you like that their children or they themselves, they are prone to NCD, to non-communicable disease, diabetes, hypertension, cardiac? I'm sure no one of you. I'm sure no one would like to be prone of cancer or your children to have cancer. But unfortunately, it is disasters caused by man-made hazards, and how to manage this risk related to these disasters. Not only Mauritius, but throughout the world, it has taken an epidemic proportion about our health hazard. These diseases are killing not only millions of people in a year, but millions, more than millions and millions of people every day. And we are responsible for it, man-made. When a child is born, very rarely is born with a cancer or with diabetes or hypertension. But unfortunately, we are giving poisonous food to our children. We are eating poisonous food, and how long it will continue? We have to take our responsibility. I'm very happy when one of our speakers was talking about community-based, that community should be informed, community must be conscious, community should be involved, and that should be in any field. It is not only the concern of the government to look after the health, it is the concern of each and everybody. And if we have so many, it has already taken an epidemic proportion and killing so many people. And now I will request that we have to take our health in our own hands. We have to stop these criminals, pesticide, chemicals, insecticide, herbicide, which is the meaning of cancer, diabetes, hypertension. And this is the cause why we're having so many deaths by millions every day. and we have to stop this, and we have to take our responsibility. And I will not take too much of your time, just I wanted to make you conscious. The main problem was millions and millions of people dying because we are eating poisonous food. I think our universities, our scientists must take this into consideration. I know WHO, United Nations Organization, is talking for years, for more than 30 years, but the epidemic is still there. Ladies and gentlemen, I will not take too much of your time, but today I am pleased to be in your midst today to discuss a topic which is very important to all of us. But first, allow me to thank the government of Andhra Pradesh and the Disaster Management Infrastructure and Control Society for the excellent organization of the conference. Mauritius, as most of the small island developing states, is particularly vulnerable to severe weather events and natural disasters. Our vulnerability is further enhanced by the impact of climate change and urbanization. According to the World Risk Report 2013, Mauritius is classified 13 among 172 most vulnerable countries in the world. The most frequent natural disasters faced by the Republic of Mauritius are cyclones, storms and tidal surges, tsunamis, floods and flash floods, landslides, torrential rains, water crisis, epidemic outbreaks, and earthquakes. Mauritius has learned its lesson from past disasters, such as Cyclone Carol, which back in 1960 killed 41 people and left more than 100,000 homeless. Nowadays, the government of Mauritius has put in place disaster-proof architecture and updated its early warning system to make our communities less vulnerable. In August 2012, the government of Mauritius developed a disaster risk reduction strategic framework and action plan under the Africa Adaptation Program. And the main objective of this assessment was to analyze the profile of risk with respect to flooding, coastal inundation, and landslide hazards of the country, including the islands of Mauritius, Rodrigues, Agalega, and Saint-Marc. The main outcome of the assessment included inter alia risk maps and strategic framework and action plan for the integration of disaster risk management into urban planning and development. Sadly, the flash floods of March 2013, which caused the death of 11 people in the capital city of Port-au-Prince, brought a painful realization of the need to consider the whole disaster cycle in a coordinated and consolidated manner rather than addressing post-disaster response. With a view to give disaster risk reduction all its weight